The Eagles walked off the field yesterday, but they didn't walk off victorious. The scoreboard told a harsh story, but the tape told an even darker one. For Philadelphia, it wasn't just a loss, it was a gut punch, a reminder of how fragile hope can feel in the NFL. The heartbreak started early and struck hard. Rookie safety Andrew Makuba, a second-round pick who had been slowly finding his rhythm, was carried off the field in a boot and on crutches after a brutal collision. It wasn't an opponent who ended his night, it was friendly fire, a teammate rolling up on him in the chaos of a defensive play. The result, a fractured leg, a likely season-ending injury, and a young player forced to watch the rest of his team struggle from the sidelines. Makuba's absence is more than a missing jersey. He had been the heartbeat of this Eagles defense in recent weeks, a versatile weapon, a blitzer who could rush the quarterback, a physical presence in the run game, and a playmaker in coverage. His highlights were many, a key sack against Patrick Mahomes, interceptions that swung momentum, and tackles that crushed drives. But like many rookies, he was also learning, faltering at times, yet growing into his role with each snap. Now, the Eagles are left to fill the void. Michael Carter, acquired in a mid-season trade from the Jets, will see more snaps. Sidney Brown will rotate at safety, alongside an already injured Reed Blankenship. It's a patchwork solution at best, but necessity breeds opportunity, and the young players must rise to meet the moment. The challenge doesn't stop there. The Eagles' secondary is stretched thin. Reed Blankenship left with a thigh injury. Cornerback Adoree Jackson entered concussion protocol. Against a high-flying Cowboys offense, that weakness was exploited, resulting in nearly 500 yards allowed, a brutal reminder that every piece of the defense matters. And yet, hope still flickers, faint but present. The Eagles face a short week and a daunting matchup against the resurgent Chicago Bears on Black Friday. The stakes are massive: playoff positioning, conference seeding, and the fragile momentum that can define a season. The Bears are confident, clicking under the leadership of Caleb Williams, while Philadelphia limps into the matchup, bruised, battered, but far from defeated. Even with this loss, the Eagles have proven they can beat the best: the Rams, the Bucs, the Packers, the Lions. A win against Chicago could cement them as a top 2 seed in the NFC, a reminder that while the path is treacherous, the journey is far from over. The Eagles may be down, their defense fractured, but the fire to fight back still burns. And in this league, resilience can be the difference between heartbreak and glory. Philadelphia's secondary is battered, bruised, and walking a tightrope. The stakes couldn't be higher. Win this next game, and the Eagles look like a team that can fight through adversity. Lose, and doubts creep in like shadows, threatening to unravel the rest of the season. The loss to Dallas wasn't just a bad day, it was a historic collapse. The Eagles blew a 21-point lead, something that hadn't happened since 1999, back in Andy Reid's first game as head coach. Watching the tape only made it worse. Every decision, every missed adjustment, every failed read added layers to the heartbreak. This wasn't about a conservative game plan, the Eagles stayed aggressive, throwing the football even with a commanding lead. But aggression without adjustment became their undoing. Jalen Hurts fought valiantly, connecting with A.J. Brown all day, putting up 110 yards and a touchdown. Devonta Smith made some explosive plays, moving the chains and keeping the offense alive. The numbers looked solid on paper. But football isn't played on paper, it's played in space, under pressure, against defenses that exploit every weakness. And for Philadelphia, the glaring weakness was the ground game. The running game failed spectacularly. Saquon Barkley, a player built for explosive yards and breakaway plays, was stopped cold by a line that couldn't create openings. 10 carries for 22 yards, a fumble, and a devastating 2.2 yards per attempt. Every step forward was met with resistance, every gap closed before it could open. The offensive line, supposed to be the foundation, was overmatched, bullied, and beaten time and again. Yards before contact? -1 against Dallas. The holes that should have existed simply weren't there. Without the ability to run the football, the Eagles couldn't control the clock. They couldn't wear down the Cowboys. The offense sputtered after an electrifying start, touchdown, 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 and then punts, missed field goals, and fumbles took the rhythm out of their hands. Situationally, they looked conservative at times, but the truth was worse, they were trapped by their own limitations. Explosive plays happened, but they were fleeting, flashes of brilliance in a game slipping away. Every loss exposes a team's cracks, and yesterday, Philadelphia's cracks were wide and deep. The offensive line's struggle, combined with injuries and a secondary under siege, created a perfect storm. The Eagles remain a team with talent, with skill, with playmakers, but yesterday was a harsh reminder that talent alone doesn't win games. Preparation, cohesion, and execution matter, and when any of those falter, even the best lead can vanish in the blink of an eye. As Philadelphia looks ahead to their next challenge, the questions linger: can this offense find balance? Can the running game recover? Can the Eagles overcome the physical and mental bruises of this collapse? The season is far from over, but the road ahead is steep, and every misstep now carries weight. The Eagles' offense isn't broken by fatigue, or a rookie curse, or even by star players carrying too much of the load. No, the problem runs far deeper. It starts at the trenches, the offensive line. Every missed block, every pushed-back play, every gap that never opens, it ripples through the entire game. Without the line controlling the battlefield, both the passing game and the running game falter, leaving the Eagles vulnerable. Last season, Philadelphia could take the lead, grind the clock, run the football effectively, and then explode for a big play when the defense least expected it. This year, that rhythm has vanished. Leads are fragile. Drives that should dominate the clock crumble. Explosive moments are fleeting and easily erased. And when the offense can't sustain, the pressure builds on the defense, and cracks begin to show. Then there's the issue of penalties, relentless, crushing penalties. Against Dallas, the Eagles committed 14 for 96 yards. And it wasn't just numbers on a stat sheet, it was momentum stolen, opportunities erased. Every explosive play, every chance to turn the tide, was diminished by avoidable mistakes. Third and short becomes third and long. First and goal becomes a long field to traverse. Drives that should have produced points vanish into thin air. This has been a season-long epidemic. The Eagles rank 6th in drives affected by penalties, but 23rd in offensive production on those drives. They are, statistically, lining up with some of the worst offenses in the league when mistakes pile up, squandering the work of their most talented players. The failures compound. Saquon Barkley, built for explosive yards, is bottled up before he can even reach daylight, held behind the line by a struggling offensive line. Plays that should succeed fail because the fundamentals aren't there. When a team can't run the football, it cannot control the clock, it cannot wear down defenses, and it cannot protect leads. Yesterday, it was brutal: 2.2 yards per carry, a fumble, and opportunities slipping through their fingers like sand. And the missed adjustments? That's where coaching meets consequence. The Cowboys shifted to 5-man defensive fronts, bringing all their disruptors onto the field. The Eagles' offense, once humming, was suddenly baffled. Early success turned into predictability. Explosive plays were negated by penalties, by misreads, by an inability to adapt. It's not always the coordinator, it's the execution, the rhythm, the cohesion of the entire unit. But when counter-adjustments fail and momentum slips away, the margin for error evaporates. This game exposed everything. The line faltered, penalties mounted, explosive plays disappeared, and the offense could not sustain. The Eagles were left to watch a lead vanish, a defense overextended, and the season's fragile momentum crumble. The path forward demands mastery of the fundamentals, cohesion across every position, and an offensive line that finally does its job. Until then, the Eagles' championship aspirations remain in the balance, and the cracks in their armor threatened to become chasms.